A luxury bunker in Germany advertises, "Survive any disaster." An ancient underground city in Turkey once protected 20,000 people. A war tunnel in Vietnam was once a place for living, studying, and surgeries. There are 3 shelters, 3 eras. But all 3 pose the same question: who has the right to survive? Deep underground, the boundaries of class, power, and morality emerge sharper than ever. Perhaps the ultimate measure of a civilization lies not in what it builds beneath the sun, but in what it hides within the darkness. We often think we understand this planet. We have mapped the surface, taken satellite photos, measured every mountain range. But right beneath our feet, another world still exists. Cities, cathedrals, laboratories that have never seen the light. Each place is an answer to a question of survival. And each place poses a new question: how can this be real? This is not a story about structures. This is a story about the limits of knowledge, about what humans can create when stripped of everything familiar. 10 underground locations will lead us through an escalating journey of wonder, from the interesting to the unbelievable to horizons that shatter our perception of reality. All to prove one thing: reality is stranger than any fiction, and humans understand far less than they think. Let us begin in a place that seems completely ordinary. A bustling city,
Looks just like it. Let's go
or a
inside.
crowded street. Right below, another world has been forgotten for 2 centuries. Number 1, Edinburgh Vault. Above ground, Edinburgh is one of the most visited cities in Europe. Visitors walk on cobbled streets, listen to street music, drink whiskey. But there is one thing they do not know. Right beneath their feet, about 3 meters deep, is a labyrinth of 120 rooms. No light, no fresh air. The stone walls are so cold that breath turns to smoke all year round. For who once lived here, and why does no one remember them? In 1785, Edinburgh was overcrowded. Thousands of poor people were driven down into the newly built vaults beneath the South Bridge. They paid rent, very little, to live in eternal darkness, where disease lurked and death was a daily occurrence. But then, a strange thing happened. As the city grew, the vaults were closed off, built over, filled in. And in less than a century, an entire world was erased from memory. No one remembered that people once lived there. The shops above remain open, tourists still walk by, and below, the rooms are still there, pitch black, silent. Not until the 1980s did archaeologists accidentally rediscover them. They found children's shoes, broken toys, wooden spoons, traces of people who lived and died without leaving a single trace on the surface. But the question remains, and it is not about the past. Today, how many stories are unfolding right beneath our feet that we will never know? How many worlds have been buried, not underground, but in our own forgetfulness? Perhaps the most terrifying thing is not what is in the darkness, but that we can live our entire lives right on top of another world and never know.
They say the ghosts are...
And if the Edinburgh vaults expose the dark corners of society, the next place reveals another aspect of humanity when facing fear, a modern fear wrapped in unbelievable luxury. Number 2, Vivos Europa 1, where a 20-ton steel door slowly opens. Inside, an avenue with neon lights, vintage cars, a sparkling swimming pool. But this is not a hotel. This is an old Cold War military bunker located deep inside Germany. Why is there a 5-star resort for the apocalypse? This place is designed to protect the ultra-rich from any global disaster, from nuclear war to climate change. It has a pet care area, a wine cellar, a priceless art collection, all built so those inside can continue their luxurious life even if the outside world collapses. Engineers claim it can withstand a direct strike. But what no one knows yet is what will happen when the door closes for years. Who will serve? Who will rule in that miniature society? The existence of Vivos Europa 1 is not merely an engineering achievement. It is a mirror reflecting the most primal fear of modern humans, the fear of extinction, and the arrogance that money can buy survival. We build our own Noah's Arks, but forget that a ship cannot set sail with only a few passengers.
Yeah.
Money can buy a steel door. But can it buy a society when the outside world no longer exists? From the fear of the future, we turn back to the past, to a place where humans had no steel, no money, but turned the underground into an impenetrable fortress. A place that even the most modern enemies could not subdue. A quiet forest in southern Vietnam. A small wooden hatch, covered in leaves, opens. Below is another world. Narrow, dark tunnels where humans lived, fought, studied, and performed surgeries for years. How could an entire system over 250 kilometers long exist right under the feet of a modern army? And how could farmers with rudimentary tools dig a labyrinth so complex that military engineers later took years to fully understand? The temperature inside the tunnels was always sweltering, air was scarce, food was deficient, yet they held on. Military experts after the war could not help but be astonished by this extraordinary endurance and adaptability. What makes this place unbelievable is not just the engineering, but the will. Ordinary people, when pushed into a life or death situation, turned the underground into a part of their own bodies, into a weapon that no technology could detect. They did not just hide down there. They lived a full life down there, with schools for children, with cultural performances by the flickering light of oil lamps. In Cu Chi, the underground was not a temporary shelter. It is the symbol of a truth. When humans have enough faith, they can turn an uninhabitable place into a homeland. From an underground battlefield, we come to a place that is also hidden, but not to fight, but to preserve the life of an entire community across centuries in absolute secrecy. Number 4. Nouars-Gavi City. On the wheat fields of northern France, a low hill looks like nothing special. But inside it is an entire underground city with 28 galleries, over 300 rooms, chapels, fireplaces, stables, capable of holding up to 3,000 people. How could such a vast place be completely forgotten for hundreds of years? Traces show that humans used this cave since Roman times, but it was heavily expanded during the Middle Ages to avoid wars and plundering. Historians still cannot answer the question, how could a secret the size of an entire city, with 300 rooms, disappear from human memory for centuries? Dozens of generations lived right on top of it without ever knowing. Not until the 19th century was it rediscovered by chance. Historians still debate the exact time it was dug and how a small community could maintain absolute silence for so long. Nouars poses a bigger question. How many more places like this are still hiding beneath peaceful villages around the world? We are proud of our knowledge, but right beneath our feet, there may still be undiscovered worlds, cities that were once home to thousands of people. Humans do not just build to be seen. Sometimes they build to be protected, and are willing to bury an entire world in exchange for safety. Underground shelters are often associated with war and fear. But some structures are created for a completely different purpose, to discover the secrets of this very planet from a place that seems impossible to live in. Number 5. Neem Ice Core Research Camp. On the white ice sheet of Greenland, a few small huts stand out in the middle of nothingness. But beneath them, a tunnel leads hundreds of meters deep into the ice where scientists are drilling into Earth's past. But they are not looking for treasure. They are looking for air bubbles trapped 123,000 years ago. Why do that under such extreme conditions? The ice cores pulled up from a depth of 2.5 kilometers contain an intact atmosphere from an era warmer than today, from the Ice Age, from before human civilization appeared. The laboratory is located inside the ice, where the temperature is always below -30 degrees Celsius, and the ice mass itself is still moving slowly, constantly threatening to swallow everything. Researchers work in almost absolute isolation, just to read the diary entries of the Earth. What makes Neem existential is not just the climate data, but our own fragility. We dig into the ice to see the past, But what emerges is the future. A future where if we do not change in time, the ice itself will melt and submerge every coastal city. Humans use intelligence to warn themselves, but will we listen in time? Beneath the permafrost, there are no easy answers. Only the harsh truth, waiting silently. From the stillness of the ice, we go to a place where humans did not just dig to survive or research, but also to create beauty. A place where even in the darkness, the human spirit still shines brightly like crystals. Number 6. Wieliczka Salt Mine. An elevator slowly takes you down to a depth of 327 meters. The door opens, and you do not see a dark, dirty mine. You see a cathedral. Salt walls glittering with light, intricate sculptures, crystal chandeliers made of salt. Why did miners turn a place of hard labor into a masterpiece of art? For 700 years, the miners at Wieliczka did not just extract salt, but they spent time after their grueling working hours to carve chapels, statues of saints, magnificent rooms from the very material they dug up. There were no architects, no grand blueprints, only bare hands and a fierce belief in something higher than daily life. Researchers still question the true motivation. Was it just piety? Or was it their way of asserting that despite being imprisoned underground, their souls remained free? What cannot be denied is the result: an underground city not for physical life, but for the spiritual life. In Wieliczka, humans proved that beauty does not need sunlight to exist. It can sprout from the darkest places as long as there is a light from within. If Wieliczka shows that humans can create beauty from the underground, the next place is even more shocking. It proves that the modern conveniences we think are inventions of the modern era actually existed thousands of years ago, in a form far beyond any imagination. Number 7. Ancient city of Mohenjo-Daro. On the Indus Valley, baked brick ruins stretch beneath the Pakistani sun. On the surface, it is not as spectacular as the pyramids, but beneath the ground is what leaves archaeologists stunned. An underground drainage and sanitation system dating back 4,500 years, more sophisticated than any contemporary civilization and many 19th century European cities. How can this be real? Every house in Mohenjo-Daro had its own toilet, connected to the underground sewer system by terracotta pipes, sealed with asphalt. Wastewater was channeled out through main pipes running along straight, planned streets. There were large public baths, clean water wells everywhere. This was not a chaotic village. This was a deliberately designed metropolis with public health as the top priority. And then this civilization disappeared, leaving no magnificent temples, no splendid palaces, no monuments to kings, leaving only a public infrastructure system ahead of its time. We do not know who ruled, even their script remains undeciphered. But their message is very clear. A civilized society is not measured by the height of its towers, but by how it cares for the most basic needs of humans. Mohenjo-Daro is a reminder that progress is not a straight line. There are peaks achieved long ago, then forgotten, only for us to have to learn all over again. From a lost civilization, we move to a place also buried underground, but its scale is many times larger, and its mystery still challenges modern engineers. Number 8. Dorinkyu. One morning on the Cappadocia Plateau, a man was renovating his house when a wall collapsed, revealing a dark, windswept corridor. He had no idea he had just found the entrance to an 18-story underground city, capable of holding up to 20,000 people. How could an entire world like that lie quietly underground for centuries? Dorinkyu is not a natural cave. It is an engineering masterpiece carved into soft volcanic rock from ancient times, with a ventilation system of over 15,000 air shafts, stone doors weighing hundreds of kilograms that can only be opened and closed from the inside. Number 9. Helsinki Underground. Viewed from above, Helsinki is a peaceful Nordic city with low-rise buildings and plenty of greenery. But beneath the solid granite layer is a massive network of tunnels, with over 400 underground facilities, swimming pools, churches, a hockey rink, data centers, even a marble tunnel dedicated to art. An entire parallel city exists beneath the capital. Is this a model for the future? The Finns have turned underground space into an essential part of urban planning. They take advantage of the hard bedrock and cold climate to build energy-efficient facilities safe from natural disasters without taking up precious surface area above. These are not military bunkers, but vibrant spaces used daily by citizens. A swimming practice, a concert, a server hosting data, all take place underground without any feeling of confinement. The question is whether this model can be replicated globally or if it is just a privilege of a wealthy nation with ideal geological conditions. Whatever the answer, Helsinki has proven that the underground does not have to be a dark and scary place. It can be a natural extension of the city, a way for humans to live more harmoniously with nature by returning the surface to greenery and wildlife. The future of cities perhaps lies not in skyscrapers, but in what we dare to build beneath. And finally, we come to the deepest place humans have ever set foot. Not to build a city, not to seek shelter, but to touch the ultimate limit of the planet. And there, we discover something far beyond all expectations. Number 10, Emponeng Gold Mine. A cramped, noisy elevator begins its journey plunging into the abyss. 90 minutes later, at a depth of nearly 4 kilometers, the doors open. The surrounding rock temperature reaches 60 degrees Celsius. The air is thick, and the rock walls seem to want to crush everything. This is the deepest place humans have ever reached. But the most precious thing found here is not gold. It is life. In the cracks of the rock, scientists found water trapped for millions of years. And in that ancient water, they discovered Desulfurutus audaxviator, a species of bacteria that lives completely alone, needing no sunlight, needing no supporting ecosystem. It generates its own energy from chemical reactions in the rock. It has existed like that in eternal darkness for tens of millions of years. How can life exist in such an uninhabitable place? This question has overturned all previous definitions of biology. If life can exist here, in the burning hell beneath our feet, where else can it exist? Inside other planets? Beneath the icy oceans of the moon Europa, the boundaries of life suddenly become much broader than we ever thought. We dug down here out of greed, for gold. But what we actually found was humility. Humans are not the conquerors of this planet. We are just a fragile life form, only just realizing that we are standing on a world still full of mysteries and that life is more resilient than any of our definitions. We began this journey with an assumption that we understand our planet. That the surface has been explored, maps have been drawn, secrets have been decoded. But every place we visited, Edinburgh, Derinkuyu, Kuchi, Mimponeng, has shown the exact opposite. We have been living on top of worlds we never knew. In the deepest place, where we thought nothing could live, life has existed for tens of millions of years, without sunlight, without air, without anything we consider necessary. So the question is no longer, what else is underground? The question now is, how many other things have we been wrong about? If life can exist here, in the darkness, without the sun, where else can it exist?